Yep, Middle Tennessee week. Big game, rivalry game, 100 miles of hate. Got to go down to their place. Looking forward to that game. It's always a fun game to be a part of, and I know it'll be a great competition against two good football teams. And just looking forward to getting back and got to get a conference win, get back in the winning column, and they'll be the same way. They'll have their jaw set. They'll be trying to get in the winning column, so it should make for a good game. With that said, questions?
I know you just said rivalry week. Middle Tennessee's always been a rival, but you guys have had another rivalry game with Marshall these last several years. With them not being in the conference and on the schedule anymore, do you think this rivalry takes on a little bit more meaning at all?
Well, for me, I can't speak to anybody else. I've always appreciated this rivalry. I've always thought that records didn't matter home, away. I thought the guys always get up for this game no matter what. It's just we're too close to each other. We respect each other too much, and so it just makes for a good football game, So I'm glad we're in that rivalry with them, and and looking forward to the opportunity to play them.
You had the win at Miami earlier in the year. What do they kind of present both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, very explosive offense, up tempo, probably be the fastest team as from a tempo standpoint that we've played. Quarterback is a really good player. He's really accurate with the football, gets the ball out of his hands. He operates the system very, very well. They got some really good skill players, some fast guys that are hard to cover. They do a good job, also running the quarterback a little bit just to kind of keep you off balance. Defensively, they're mixing it up with their pressure packages and different fronts to try to confuse you. It's a challenging game when you're breaking them down and you're game planning for them. There's a lot to deal with there on both sides of the ball. So we got to play at a high level for sure. We got to know what's coming at us on both sides of the football. We got to be able to get after their quarterback, try to get home, try to not allow them to have those explosive plays. I think back to Miami, in the first quarter, they have 3 or 4 huge explosive plays. And so we got to be able to limit those. Like I said every week, good offenses, they're going to find a way to make their plays. And I thought last week against UTSA, our defensive game plan was really, really good. It played out how we wanted. We wanted to limit those explosive plays, make them go the distance, try to create turnovers, and we did all those things. So, kind of a similar game plan to a certain extent. But, we got to keep them from being able to get those 60-yarders, 50-yarders, all those things that they did against Miami.
And then, despite the loss from last week, I think everyone pretty much saw a different type of fight out of this team from the past game. So just kind of reiterate, your confidence in them moving forward.
Well, I get your question. That's a good question. I would phrase it as we always had fight. It's always been a highly competitive game. It just the previous 2 times, it was a back and forth offensive battle, where in this past game it was really a true great matchup, in all 3 phases, and every phase made their plays for both teams. And hopefully, you get an opportunity to play in that game, right? But right now we're looking at Middle Tennessee, and I'm going to tell you what, this conference is so competitive right now. It's anybody's game in this conference. And so our team has done a really good job of understanding to not look past the next opponent, not to be thinking, okay, well, if we can do this, we can try to make a run. We're taking it one game at a time. Middle Tennessee is the same way, and so we got to be able to go out there on the road against a really good opponent and come away with a big conference win. If we get this win, this is a big win. This is not only a rivalry game, but it's highly competitive in the conference right now, and this will be a big win for us. So I know our guys are excited about the opportunity. They got a great look in their eye. And it says a lot about you. We've had 2 tough losses, one against Troy, very competitive game, one against UTSA, very competitive game. If we can get back on track in this game, I feel really good about where we're at.
I know you said they run their quarterback Cunningham a little bit. Last year they had some issues at that position, mixing a lot of guys in there. Asher O'Hara before that ran the ball quite a bit. But the last couple of years, it sounds like Rick Stockstill has been wanting more production out of that running back room in that regard. I guess Frank Pison back there, again this year, I think he's their leading rusher. How have you seen them change, if at all, in that regard?
They're doing some good things. They're a big zone run football team, and like I said, they mix in the quarterback run game, and really their MO right now is go fast, spread you out, you go sideline to sideline, have all the different route concepts that you have to cover and all those things. So when it comes to the run game, it's kind of like us, that the box is right. They're looking for the 5-man box and looking to get the angles for the offensive line. And so, that's helped them, and they utilize the run game well. Coach Summers will be up here in a little bit. That'll be another great question for him. Coach, how do you stop the run? He can get more in detail on that. But very similar to us. We're going to sling it all over the park, but we're looking for the correct box when we run it. And so it makes it hard on the defense. You got to pick your poison.
It seems like their defense is kind of a big play defense, second in the league in turnover margin, first in sacks. With guys like Ferguson and Wood back there. What do you see from that group?
First up front, they got a really good front. They're playing 4 down front. They're very multiple of what they do, but they get after you in their front 4. And then their pressure packages are good. They know how to attack your pass protections. They understand if you're going to make 5 down calls, and you can see how they utilize those pressures. And they know what they're doing, and that's why they're having success on getting sacks and getting some turnovers, getting the quarterback to throw them the football. Be a great test for our offensive line. We're going to have to be at the top of our game. Past couple games, not only did you have to contend with the front, they were talented. Now you got to contend with Middle Tennessee that's talented up front, and they got good pressure packages. So it's going to be a great test for our O-line.
With that O-line, it seemed like there were a number of false starts last Saturday. Do you think that was crowd noise or anything, and how do you get that cleaned up kind of heading into this week?
Yeah, it was. That was probably the most disappointing thing for us. We had worked a lot, knew the crowd noise was going to be a factor. We did have silent count ready if we needed it. We wanted to use it as a last resort, never got to it. But it was kind of like how I thought it might be. I was hoping that we could hold our water and those kind of things, but some of those pressure situations we didn't. Fact of the matter is we failed in that area. So we're working to clean that up. Hopefully, with what we do and how we respond to that, we'll get it cleaned up. But was definitely disappointed in that area, and that's something moving forward that we have to clean up. You're always going to have in this offense, so you're going to have a false start or 2 in the game. It's just as fast as we play, you're going to have that. But what you don't want to have is the offensive line sitting up there and they're so antsy and somebody says something and next thing you know a guy moves, So that's a great question. We're definitely working hard on that.
Kind of sticking with the O-line, do you have an update on Mark Good and, I guess David as well, and Josh is the guy I've been asking about, anybody else maybe?
Mark is actually seeing the doctor today, so I'll know more about that later this afternoon. David's fine. He's good. Knock on wood. He took a serious blow to the head, and for him to be where he's at right now is great. Thank God. But he was fine after the game, so I expect David to be fine. Josh is really a day-to-day. I thought he might make it back. The knee flared up on him again. We're starting to get at a point in the season where we got to start to ask ourselves, hey, does he need to take a red shirt, or does he need to keep trying to get healthy? We're not quite there with either one of those. So that's probably another week or 2 before we make those decisions.
If Mark is not able to go, I guess, what do you see filling in that spot?
Well, we would probably have to shuffle the deck a little bit. You may have to move Gunner over to left tackle, Wes Dorsey at right tackle. We do have some good young tackles in Marshall and David and Dukeway. We got to get into a Tuesday practice tomorrow, kind of see how that all works out to know if that's the right fit for us. But I'll know better on that after Tuesday.
I know you said after the game you wanted to be ultra aggressive. In terms of going forward on those 4th and long onside kicks, being aggressive in that regard. Do you remember a game in your time as a head coach where you've been that aggressive, or do you think that was kind of the most
We've picked our spots, I've always been a guy that likes the onside bunt. I think it's a good tool to have in your toolbox. I thought Coach Traylor, Jeff, did a good job. He had his guy trained up. He responded immediately. He responded the correct way. We work on that a lot for when we see that and how that kid responded. So hats off to him for that. But whether we got it or not, it was the right time to do it. You're on a road against a really good team. We only had 10 possessions in the game. I knew I was going to have to try to steal a possession. We only had 4 possessions in the first half. And so somehow, some way, we were going to have to try to gain that possession back. And that's usually a good opportunity to do it. But they did a great job there. The 4th and longs, like the 4th and 15s and all that, where we were on the field, we could punt the ball, and I love Tom, but if the ball goes in the end zone now, it's a touchback. I mean, I netted 15 yards, so, and how Coach Summers and I are, I know it puts tremendous pressure on your defense, but thank God for Coach Summers. He's like, Coach, one way or the other, we're coming off the field. We're either getting 3 and out or they're scoring or we're creating a turnover, but we got to try to give you the ball and give you as many possessions as you can. So when you play a good UTSA team, sometimes you just got to let it ride. You look at the percentages of making a 4th and 15, it's pretty slim, right? But I have a lot of faith. We're really talented in the skill position, quarterback position. You hope that maybe you can sling one down there and you might get lucky, and so I was good with everything we did. It was just kind of how the game played out that it kind of forced my hand that says, hey, yeah, I understand it's 4th and 15 and percentages are slim to none, but I'll take slim, so.